Welcome, weary traveler, to a quiet corner of the past. As the modern world outside rushes and clamors with its ceaseless demands and its bright, insistent glow, we invite you to step back, to breathe deeply, and to listen. Not to the shouts of battle, nor the grand pronouncements of kings, nor the hurried dictates of industry. Tonight we seek a different melody, a more subtle symphony, the gentle hum of forgotten crafts. We journey together into the hushed heart of the medieval workshop, a place where time itself seemed to move with a rhythm far removed from our own. A rhythm dictated not by the impatient ticking of clocks, which were themselves still rudimentary and rare, but by the patient hand, the unhurried eye, and the slow, deliberate unfolding of skill. It was a rhythm of quiet dedication, of enduring patience, and of a deep, abiding connection to the very materials of creation. Imagine for a moment the earliest, faintest sliver of dawn. It is not the sudden burst of light we often know, but a gradual, almost shy awakening. It begins by painting the highest edges of a narrow street in a medieval town, perhaps in a place like Strasbourg, or Bruges, or York. The air is cool, crisp, and still. It carries the lingering scent of last night's wood smoke, mingling with the earthy dampness of cobblestones and the subtle, organic aroma of the nearby river or fields. The world outside is mostly silent. Perhaps a distant, muffled church bell marks the passing of an hour before full light, or the far-off crow of a rooster, still a sleepy, uncertain sound, breaks the profound stillness. A stray dog might stir in its slumber, its breath misting faintly in the cool morning air. But predominantly there is a deep, encompassing quiet. A quiet that modern life rarely affords us. And now we turn our gaze towards one of these humble dwellings, nestled amongst its neighbors. This isn't a grand castle or a bustling marketplace, but a modest structure, built for purpose, for honest labor. It is a workshop, perhaps on a side street, or tucked away from the main thoroughfares where merchants would soon begin to hawk their wares. Its windows, small and often leaded with tiny panes of glass or even oiled parchment, hint at the dimness within, a protective cocoon from the elements. Inside this chosen workshop, as the first tentative light begins to penetrate, the tools lie quiet. They are not gleaming, mass-produced instruments, but often handmade, well-used and deeply cherished implements, each bearing the subtle sheen of countless hours of diligent work. Perhaps we are in the space of a shoemaker, a cobbler, as they were often known. Here the various hammers, small, weighted, designed for tapping and shaping, the array of awls, sharp-pointed tools for piercing and making holes, the specialized knives, some for cutting, others for trimming and paring, the sturdy lasts, wooden forms shaped like feet, upon which the shoes would take their final form. All these instruments rest. They are waiting for the gentle warmth of hands to bring them to life once more. There is a sense of expectation in this quiet chamber, a palpable anticipation of the day's slow unfolding. No rush, no urgency, no frantic dash to meet a deadline imposed by distant markets, just the quiet promise of measured, purposeful work. The air within these walls, though still cool, holds a distinct character. It might carry the subtle, earthy scent of tanned leather, the sweet fragrance of freshly cut wood shavings, or the faint, metallic tang of iron from a blacksmith's forge down the lane. It is an air infused with the very essence of the craft, a silent testament to the materials that pass through this space. The workshop floor, often swept but never sterile, might bear faint traces of the previous day's labor. A few errant leather scraps, a forgotten wisp of wool, a fine dusting of sawdust. These are not signs of untidiness, but of ongoing life, of a continuous narrative of creation. The tools themselves tell a story, not just of their function, but of the hands that wielded them. the smooth, worn handles shaped over years to fit a particular grip, the subtle polish on the metal where fingers have rubbed against it thousands of times. These are not merely objects, they are extensions of the artisan, silent partners in the dance of skill. Each one has a specific purpose, a singular voice in the symphony of the workshop. They are not interchangeable, but finely tuned for their specific role. On the workbench, the raw materials await their transformation. Rolls of supple leather, perhaps a deep, rich brown or a soft, undyed fawn, lie patiently coiled. Bundles of stout linen thread, ready to be waxed and strengthened for stitching. Small wooden bowls containing beeswax used to lubricate and protect the thread. A block of wood for shaping, or a rough-hewn metal ingot for forging. These are the ingredients of creation, simple yet profound in their potential. They possess a quiet beauty, an inherent dignity in their natural state, waiting for the touch that will elevate them into something more. There is a sense of respectful slumber in this space. The workshop is not abandoned, merely resting. It breathes softly in the pre-dawn hush, gathering its energy for the work that is to come. It is a place where intention takes root, where patience blossoms, and where the meticulous journey from raw material to finished product is undertaken with a quiet, unwavering dedication. No loud machinery, no frantic rush, no artificial light. Just the organic presence of wood, metal, and fiber, awaiting the slow awakening of human endeavor. In this quiet anticipation, one can almost feel the presence of the artisan even before they arrive. The spirit of their labor, their accumulated skill, their very patience seems to linger in the air. This stillness is not emptiness, it is a pregnant quiet, filled with the potential of creation. It is the calm before the gentle storm of purposeful activity. And it is this calm, this unhurried beginning that sets the tone for the entire day's work in the medieval workshop. A day where every action is considered, every movement deliberate, and every finished piece a testament to the enduring beauty of slow, thoughtful craftsmanship. A truly profound peace permeates this space, a quiet invitation to stillness, to presence, and to the quiet satisfaction of making. As the first light strengthens, filtering softly through the small, leaded panes of the workshop window, our artisan, whom we shall call Thomas, begins his day. There is no frantic rush, no jarring alarm clock. His movements are unhurried, almost a quiet ritual, a gentle unfolding into the day's purpose. He moves to his workbench, a sturdy, well-worn surface, bearing the subtle indentations and marks of countless hours of diligent labor. Perhaps it's a simple plank supported by stout legs, or a more elaborate contraption with built-in compartments for tools and materials. He settles onto his low stool, the posture of a craftsman accustomed to long hours of focused work. The first task is always the careful selection of leather. This isn't a mere commodity, it's a living material, once part of an animal, now transformed through the patient process of tanning. Thomas runs his calloused fingers over its surface, assessing its quality, its suppleness, its very character. Is it destined for a tough, durable sole, or for the soft, pliable upper of a finely crafted shoe? He might hold it to the light, observing the subtle variations in its grain, its natural blemishes, each telling a silent story of its origin. There is a profound respect for the material, a quiet understanding of its potential, a recognition that this animal skin, once living, is now entrusted to his hands for a new purpose. The earthy, almost sweet scent of tanned leather begins to fill the small space, a subtle, grounding aroma that is the signature of his craft. Then comes the gentle snip of the shears or the soft slice of a sharp knife as he cuts the first patterns. These aren't patterns drawn from a book of mass production, but often from templates honed over years of experience, perhaps even passed down through generations within his guild. Each cut is considered deliberate, a precise excision that will become the very shape of the shoe. There is no waste here, no hurried imperfection. Every scrap is valuable, destined for a smaller piece, a patch, or even for kindling. This isn't about speed, it's about precision, about a deep, intuitive connection to the craft, a slow conversation between the artisan and the material. The sounds are soft, almost imperceptible to the untrained ear. The slight resistance of the leather as the blade passes through, the quiet fall of the excised piece onto the dusty floor. Once the pieces are cut, the meticulous work of assembly begins. Thomas takes up his awl, a sharp, slender tool, often with a wooden handle worn smooth by his grip. With a gentle pierce, he creates the first holes in the leather, tiny, perfect punctures that will guide his needle. He might work on the upper first, shaping it over a last, a wooden form shaped precisely like a foot, a silent assistant in his creative process. The last allows him to mold the leather, coaxing it into the desired three-dimensional form. This shaping often involves wetting the leather slightly to make it more pliable, then patiently hammering and smoothing it into place, gently stretching and persuading it to conform. Now, observe his hands as they begin the stitching. This is perhaps the most mesmerizing part of the cobbler's craft, a testament to endurance and precision. The needle, carefully threaded with stout waxed linen, passes through the pre-pierced leather with a soft pierce, followed by the gentle pull as the thread tightens. This motion is repeated over and over again, each stitch a tiny knot of intention, a secure bond that holds the shoe together. It creates a subtle, rhythmic sound, almost like a quiet heartbeat in the workshop. Pierce, pull, tighten, pierce, pull, tighten. It is a soothing, repetitive dance of creation, a testament to endless patience and unwavering dedication. The waxed thread, stiff and strong, is vital. Thomas would have prepared it himself, drawing it through a lump of beeswax to lubricate it and prevent fraying, making it glide more smoothly through the leather and ensuring its longevity. The wax also adds a subtle sheen and strength to the finished stitching. His fingers, nimble and strong, guide the needle with an almost unconscious grace, their movements economical and precise. One can almost feel the smooth, cool surface of the leather beneath his touch, the slight resistance of the needle as it pushes through, the satisfying thunk as the thread finally settles into place. The creation of a single shoe is not a linear process, but a series of overlapping stages, each requiring distinct skills and tools. After the upper is stitched and molded, the sole must be attached. This involves a thicker, more rigid piece of leather, often requiring even greater force to pierce and secure. Thomas might use different awls, larger and stronger for this task and heavier thread. He might then turn to a small, curved knife, meticulously trimming the edges of the sole, shaping it to perfection, the blade whispering against the leather with a soft shaving sound. Then comes the hammering, not the forceful blows of a blacksmith, but a lighter, rhythmic tapping with a small, specialized hammer. This is for shaping, for smoothing seams, for gently nudging leather into place, for securing tiny wooden pegs that might be used to attach the sole. Each tap is deliberate, controlled, a soft punctuation mark in the ongoing narrative of the shoe's creation. The sound is not loud or jarring, but a series of muffled thuds, gentle yet firm, ensuring that every curve is just right, every edge seamless. The workshop itself is a sanctuary of focus. The silence is broken only by the sounds of the craft, the soft creak of the workbench as Thomas shifts his weight. These are not noises, but components of the calm, a symphony of industrious peace. There are no distractions here, no urgent calls from outside. The world beyond the workshop door seems distant, muffled, allowing for a deep, almost meditative immersion in the task at hand. As the day progresses, the light within the workshop shifts, growing brighter, then gradually softening. Thomas works steadily, his pace unwavering. He might pause occasionally, not to rest, but to simply examine his work, turning the shoe in his hands, assessing its balance, its form, its nascent beauty. He is not merely making an object, he is imbuing it with his skill, his patience, and a piece of himself. Each pair of shoes is unique, a testament to his individual craftsmanship, distinct from any other. The process of making a single shoe or a pair could take many hours, even days, depending on its complexity and the type of leather. This wasn't about mass production, but about quality, durability, and a deep connection between the maker and the object. A medieval shoemaker likely knew his customers personally, understood their needs, and took immense pride in crafting footwear that would last for years, carefully repaired and maintained. Consider the tools themselves. They are not merely functional items, they are extensions of the artisan's hand and will. The very grain of the wooden handles, smoothed by countless hours of grip, the subtle patina on the steel blades, honed to perfection over years, each tells a story of dedicated labor. These tools are cherished, maintained, and passed down, embodying generations of knowledge and skill. They are partners in the dance of creation, responding to the subtle commands of the artisan's fingers. As the sun begins its slow descent, casting longer shadows across the floor, Thomas might be putting the finishing touches on a pair of shoes. Perhaps a final polish with a soft cloth, bringing out the rich luster of the leather, or the careful attachment of a buckle if the design calls for it. The scent of leather is now deeper, richer, having been worked and warmed by the artisan's hands. The workshop, which began in quiet anticipation, now hums with the quiet satisfaction of work well done. The completed shoes resting on the bench are more than just footwear. They are tangible expressions of patience, skill, and the quiet dignity of a forgotten craft. They stand as silent witnesses to a day spent in focused, unhurried creation, ready to step into the world, bearing the marks of their meticulous making. This is the rhythm of the cobbler's bench, a timeless melody of quiet dedication and profound purpose. Now, let us drift gently from the distinct scent of leather and the soft tapping of the shoemaker's bench, carrying our quiet attention to another corner of the medieval town. Here, in a different kind of workshop, the very air hums with a softer, more subtle vibration, the delicate whisper of countless threads. This is the domain of the weaver, a place where patience is woven into every strand, and where the silent artistry of patterns slowly emerges from simple fibers. Imagine this space. Unlike the shoemaker's often compact and earthy confines, the weaver's workshop, while still modest, might feel more expansive, needing room for the considerable frame of the loom itself. Light is crucial here, ideally filtering from high, windows illuminating the intricate network of threads without casting harsh shadows. The air, faintly dusty with the delicate fibers of wool or linen, carries a subtle, natural aroma, the clean scent of washed fleece, or the dry, grassy fragrance of flax. At the heart of this space stands the loom, a silent sentinel awaiting its daily song. It might be a vertical warp-weighted loom, ancient in its design, or a more common horizontal treadle loom, robust and practical. Its wooden frame, perhaps of sturdy oak or beech, shows the smooth, dark patina of age and continuous use. Threads, hundreds, perhaps thousands of them, are stretched taut across its width, forming the warp, the fundamental skeleton of the cloth to be created. These warp threads are precisely aligned, held under tension, awaiting their transformation. They are like musical notes waiting for a melody. Our weaver, whom we shall name Eleanor, approaches her loom. Her movements, like Thomas the cobbler's, are imbued with a quiet grace, a practiced economy. There is no haste, only a steady, deliberate approach to the task at hand. She settles onto her bench or stool before the loom, her posture attentive, her gaze already anticipating the intricate dance of threads. The very first action is often to ensure the tension of the warp threads is just right, a subtle adjustment that ensures the fabric will be even and strong. Then, with a gentle push of a treadle, a foot pedal, the heddles shift. These are frames through which alternate warp threads pass, and their movement creates an opening, a narrow space known as the shed. This opening is crucial, the gateway for the shuttle to pass through. The shift of the heddles creates a soft, almost imperceptible creak of wood or a faint clack as they settle into their new position. Now Eleanor picks up the shuttle. This small, elongated boat-like tool carries the weft thread, the thread that will interlace with the warp, building the fabric line by line. The shuttle itself is smooth and worn, its ends perhaps subtly grooved from countless journeys across the warp. With a practiced hand, she guides the shuttle through the newly formed shed. Swoosh! It glides, swift yet silent, across the width of the loom, laying down a single line of weft. Once the shuttle has passed through, Eleanor pushes the opposite treadle, causing the heddles to shift again, closing the first shed and opening. A new one, this time with the other set of warp threads elevated. Then, with a gentle yet firm pull on the beater or reed, she pushes the newly laid weft thread firmly into place against the already woven cloth. This creates a soft, rhythmic clack as the reed meets the fabric, a sound that is the very pulse of the weaving process. And so the rhythm begins. Swoosh, clack, swoosh, clack. The sound is soft, regular, almost hypnotic. It is the sound of patience, of patterns slowly emerging from simple threads. It is a lullaby of industry, a soothing, repetitive cycle that can draw one into a state of quiet contemplation. Each passage of the shuttle, each press of the treadle, each soft clack of the beater adds another line to the emerging story of the cloth. Watch closely as the colors begin to intertwine. If Eleanor is weaving a patterned fabric, the different hues of warp and weft will slowly, deliberately coalesce into geometric designs or perhaps more intricate, symbolic motifs, a testament to her skill and the complexity of her loom setup. One thread embraces another, building a fabric, stitch by tiny, invisible stitch. There is no rush in this process, only the steady progression of growth, like a plant unfurling its leaves in the gentle sunlight, or a river flowing smoothly to the sea. The fabric grows almost imperceptibly, centimeter by centimeter, a testament to enduring effort. The weaver's attention is absolute. Her eyes constantly scan the warp, ensuring tension, checking for broken threads, observing the emerging pattern. Her hands are a blur of gentle motion, guiding, adjusting, correcting. The very act of weaving is a deeply meditative experience, a conversation between the artisan, the loom, and the threads. The rhythmic repetition can induce a state of profound focus, a calming absorption that blocks out the distractions of the outside world. The materials themselves hold a humble beauty. Wool, perhaps shorn from local sheep, then cleaned, carded, and spun into yarn by other hands, or even by Eleanor's own family. Its natural lanolin gives it a soft, protective quality, and its warmth speaks of comfort and shelter. Linen, spun from flax, is cooler, crisper, with a refined texture suitable for different garments or household items. Each fiber has its own character, its own story, and the weaver understands these intimately, knowing how each will behave under tension and how it will contribute to the final textile. The gentle scent of these natural fibers, mingling with the dry wood of the loom, fills the air. As the hours pass, the light within the workshop shifts, softening as the sun climbs higher, then begins its slow descent. Eleanor's movements remain steady, unbroken. She might pause only to rethread a shuttle or to make a minor adjustment to the loom. This kind of work is not physically demanding in a strenuous sense, but it requires incredible endurance, concentration, and fine motor control. The quiet solitude of the weaving shed fosters a deep connection to the craft, an intimacy with the creation that is rarely found in today's hurried production lines. The fabric, slowly emerging from the loom, is not just a commodity. It is a profound expression of skill, patience, and artistic vision. It will become a warm tunic for a farmer, a comforting blanket for a family, or a finely embroidered cloth for a noble's table. Each piece carries the unspoken story of its making, the quiet determination of the weaver, the gentle clack of the loom, and the tireless dance of warp and weft. When finally the cloth is long enough, it is carefully cut from the loom, a momentous occasion. The completed piece, still carrying the slight tension of its birth, is then ready for finishing processes, fulling, dyeing, or cutting into garments. In the medieval world, cloth was not just a utilitarian item, it was a significant investment, a testament to communal labor. The weaver was a respected member of the community, her skill providing warmth, comfort, and beauty. The quiet hum of her loom was a sound of sustenance, of industry, and of the enduring human need to create. It is a sound that, even now, when contemplated in the stillness of our imagination, can bring a sense of tranquility, a gentle reminder of the power of steady, dedicated hands. This is the gentle rhythm of the loom, a timeless song of quiet creation, inviting us to simply listen and to find peace in its slow, unfolding beauty. Our tranquil journey now leads us away from the practical hum of the workshop into a different kind of quietude, a deeper, almost sacred stillness. We enter the scriptorium, a place where the sounds of earthly labor give way to the faint scratching of a quill, and where the gentle rustle of parchment is often the loudest sound. This isn't a space filled with the scent of leather or wool, but rather with the subtle, earthy aroma of aged paper, the metallic tang of ink, and perhaps the faint sweet scent of beeswax from a nearby candle. Here, in the quiet embrace of the scriptorium, history wasn't just lived, it was meticulously recorded, preserved, and illuminated, one careful stroke at a time. Imagine this room. It might be a dedicated chamber within a monastery, a cathedral, or a wealthy noble's household. Often it would be cool, even in warmer months, designed to protect the precious materials from decay. The light, crucial for such delicate work, would filter in through high, often narrow windows, ensuring a soft, even illumination that minimized glare and protected the scribe's eyes over long hours. Sometimes, for intricate details or in the deepening twilight, a single, carefully trimmed candle, its flame a steady, silent companion, would cast a warm, dancing glow upon the workspace. The very air here seems to hum with ancient knowledge, with the weight of centuries of thought and devotion. At the heart of this profound quiet, a scribe is hunched over a large, often heavy, volume. This scribe might be a monk, dedicated to the divine task of copying sacred texts, or a lay professional meticulously transcribing legal documents, historical chronicles, or classical literature. His posture is one of deep concentration, shoulders slightly rounded, head bowed, his focus absolute. His breathing is even and calm, almost imperceptible, a testament to the profound state of absorption required for such intricate and demanding work. Before him lies a sheet of parchment or vellum, a material far removed from the paper we know today. This was meticulously prepared animal skin, stretched, scraped, and polished to a smooth, sometimes translucent, surface. Its texture is unique, cool to the touch with a subtle grain and capable of absorbing ink with a singular depth. Turning, a page of such a volume is a soft, almost reverent rustle, a gentle breath in the profound stillness of the room. Each sheet represents hours of preparatory labor even before the scribe touched it, embodying a value and preciousness that underscored the importance of the words to be inscribed. The scribe's primary tool is the quill, a simple yet elegant instrument often fashioned from the primary flight feather of a goose or swan. It is trimmed and sharpened with precise cuts to create a fine, flexible nib. This quill, dipped into a small pot of ink, is then brought to the parchment. The ink itself would be a concoction of soot, gall nuts, iron salts, and binders, ground, and mixed to a perfect consistency, dark, rich, and designed to last for centuries without fading. The subtle scent of the ink, earthy and slightly metallic, might mingle faintly in the quiet air. As the quill touches the parchment, a faint, almost inaudible shush or scratch begins. This is the whispering quill, its delicate sound the only interruption to the deep silence. Each letter is formed with extraordinary precision, each curve, each line, each flourishing stroke considered and deliberate. There is no haste in this process, no shortcuts. Every character is a miniature work of art, a testament to unwavering concentration and a steady hand. The scribe's fingers, perhaps stained faintly with ink, move with a practiced grace, guiding the quill with an almost unconscious fluidity. This is a deeply meditative act. The repetitive motion of forming letters, dipping the quill, and drawing lines can induce a state of profound focus, a contemplative immersion that transcends the immediate physical surroundings. It is a connection between the present moment of the scribe and the ancient voices of the past, the thoughts of authors long gone, and to the future eyes that will someday, perhaps centuries later, read these very words. In this quiet chamber, the scribe is not merely copying text. He is preserving knowledge, transmitting wisdom, and ensuring the continuity of human thought and belief. The work is not just about writing. It often involves illumination, the painstaking process of adding intricate decorations, intricate borders, and vibrant miniature paintings to the manuscript. This would be done with tiny brushes using pigments derived from minerals and plants, mixed with egg yolk to bind them. Imagine the shimmer of gold leaf, carefully applied and burnished, catching the light, bringing a shimmering ethereal quality to the page. These elaborate decorations were not mere embellishments, they were visual commentaries, theological statements, and expressions of devotion, adding layers of meaning and beauty to the text. The silence during this detailed artistic work would be even more profound, punctuated only by the soft tap of a brush or the gentle scrape of a burnishing tool. The time involved in creating a single manuscript was immense. Copying a large Bible could take a skilled scribe a year or more of continuous daily labor. Smaller texts still demanded weeks or months. This was a slow, deliberate, unhurried craft, driven not by external deadlines in the modern sense, but by the innate rhythm of the task itself, by the desire for accuracy and beauty, and often by profound spiritual devotion. There was no pressure to rush, only to perfect. Errors were painstakingly corrected, often by scraping the parchment surface with a small knife and rewriting, a testament to the commitment to flawlessness. The discipline required was extraordinary. Hours upon hours spent hunched over a desk, maintaining perfect concentration, enduring the strain on eyes and back. The scriptorium might be chilly in winter, relying on what little warmth a distant fireplace could provide, or humid in summer. Yet, the work continued, driven by an internal imperative. This quiet perseverance speaks volumes about the value placed on knowledge and the written word in an era when books were incredibly rare and precious commodities. Each manuscript was a treasure, a culmination of immense human effort and devotion. Consider the atmosphere, the profound sense of reverence for the text, whether sacred scripture or classical philosophy. The rhythmic breathing of the scribe, the soft rustle of sleeves against the desk, the almost imperceptible creak of the wooden chair. These were the only sounds woven into the deep fabric of silence that enveloped the scriptorium. It was a place of intellectual labor, yes, but also of spiritual contemplation, a sanctuary of the mind. As the light outside gradually dims, casting longer shadows across the polished desk, the scribe might gently lay down his quill, perhaps taking a moment to stretch, his eyes momentarily unfocused from the intense close work. The page, still partially filled, awaits his return tomorrow, another quiet day of creation. The completed sections of the manuscript, however, lie as silent witnesses to his dedication, their delicate lines of ink, testament to the enduring power of the written word, meticulously preserved through the patient labor of a whispering quill. It is a profound legacy of quiet perseverance, a testament to the human spirit's desire to capture, to understand, and to pass on the fleeting moments and enduring thoughts of civilization, all within the profound and protective embrace of silence. As the day gently fades into evening, and the last lingering light softens the edges of the medieval workshops, a profound stillness begins to settle once more. The sounds of the day's labor, once a gentle hum, now recede into silence. The shoemaker's hammer lies still, the weaver's shuttle rests in its loom, and the scribe's quill is carefully laid aside. Each tool, each surface, each piece of unfinished material breathes a sigh of quiet completion, holding the promise of another day's patient work. We are left with a deep, abiding sense of the quiet dignity of these forgotten crafts. It wasn't just about making objects. It was about a way of life, a philosophy of creation that prioritized skill, durability, and a deep, intuitive connection to the materials and the process. The rhythmic sounds, the soft tap-tap-tap of the cobbler's hammer, the soothing swoosh-clack of the weaver's loom, the faint shush of the scribe's whispering quill. These were not merely noises of production, they were the very fabric of peace, components of a serene symphony that filled the workshops. They were pathways to a certain kind of profound quietude, a meditative state born from focused, repetitive labor. In an age that often demands our hurried attention, bombarding us with constant notifications and the relentless pace of a digital world, there is an extraordinary soothing comfort in contemplating these slow, deliberate acts of creation. Imagine a time when efficiency wasn't measured in seconds saved, but in the enduring quality of a finished piece. A time when a craftsman's reputation was built on the meticulous care given to every single item, ensuring it would serve its purpose for years, even decades. This dedication wasn't a burden, it was a source of deep satisfaction, a quiet pride in work truly well done. The essence of these crafts lay in their unhurried pace. There was no concept of instantaneous gratification. A pair of shoes might take days to complete, a length of cloth weeks, and a single illuminated manuscript could be the work of a year or more. This forced a different relationship with time, one of patience, perseverance, and a deep appreciation for the incremental progress of creation. Each step, from the raw material to the final polish, was a deliberate choice, an act of conscious intention. This slow unfolding fostered an immense respect for the process itself, not just the end product. Consider the connection to materials. The medieval artisan knew their materials intimately. The shoemaker understood the unique properties of different leathers, their strengths and weaknesses. The weaver felt the distinct textures of wool and linen, knowing how each would behave on the loom. The scribe appreciated the subtle variations in parchment and the nuances of grinding pigments for ink. This wasn't abstract knowledge from a textbook. It was embodied wisdom gained through countless hours of tactile engagement, of hands shaping and coaxing natural elements into forms of function and beauty. This deep, sensory relationship with the earth's bounty brought a grounding presence to their daily work. These workshops, far from being merely places of toil, were often sanctuaries of focus and contemplation. In the absence of external distractions, the artisan could enter a flow state, a deep immersion in their craft. The rhythmic motions, the consistent sounds, the gradual emergence of the finished product, all contributed to a meditative atmosphere. It was a time for internal reflection, for sharpening skills, and for a quiet communion with the creative spirit. This was a profound form of mindful living, enacted not through formal meditation, but through dedicated, purposeful work. The completed items, whether a sturdy pair of shoes, a beautifully woven cloth, or a richly illuminated book, were more than just objects. They were tangible expressions of patience, skill, and the quiet dignity of a forgotten craft. Each stitch, each thread, each carefully formed letter carried the imprint of the artisan's hands, their breath, their focus. They were imbued with a kind of quiet life, a soul forged in the unhurried dedication of their making. These pieces were built to last, to be cherished, and often to be passed down through generations, carrying with them the silent stories of their origins. As the last rays of sunlight finally yield to the soft embrace of twilight, we can imagine the artisans leaving their benches, their looms, and their desks. They leave behind the quiet satisfaction of work well done, knowing that their efforts have contributed not only to their livelihood, but to the enduring fabric of their communities. The workshops now stand silent once more, but they are not empty. They are filled with the lingering echoes of quiet dedication, of purposeful creation, and of a profound peace. May the gentle hum of these forgotten crafts and the quiet perseverance of those who practice them bring a touch of calm to your evening. May you find your own slow rhythms in a world that often rushes, discovering the quiet satisfaction in deliberate action. May you find your own peaceful moments, allowing the stresses of the day to dissipate and drift gently into a peaceful slumber, cradled by the enduring echoes of history's quiet workers. Thank you for joining us on this unhurried journey through the silent, yet profoundly resonant chapters of the past. Good night.